Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 4th episode of Girl Talk. I am your co-host, Lexi Zolo, and we have a fabulous show for you in store today. First, I'll be accompanied by Camden, Mowery, and Andrew Montana to talk about their favorite NBA team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Then Kiersten and I will be informing you on the Legends Football League, formerly known as the Lingerie Football League. And lastly, Kiersten will be keeping you up to date on the top 5 moments in sports that happened this past week, so stay tuned because it's time for Girl Talk.
Welcome back. My name is Kiersten Blaylock, and as Lexi said, we're talking the Lakers today with Andrew Montana and Camden Mowery. How are you guys doing today?
Let's go. Let's go. It's about time we talk the Lakers. I'm really excited. Thank you for having us.
You've been forcing our hands to talk about the Lakers because it's all you ever talk about. It's your only personality trait. So starting off, I want to start talking about the only Western Conference win for the Lakers, 2020. Lexi,
their bubble champ.
Sorry, how many championships do we have? You have the number on your laptop, right? 17?
It's on my shirt. It's on my shirt.
Oh, it's on your shirt too? Yeah, 17. Yeah, so Western
What are we arguing here? Come on.
What did happen in 2020, by the way? Who did we beat in the Western Conference Finals to get to the finals?
Them Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets. Well, 2020 was the bubble year, which that was when they got their championship, and that is actually the year they traded Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, along with other draft picks for Anthony Davis. How do you guys feel about Anthony Davis? I mean, I think he's...
You want me to do it?
Go for it.
Okay, I just said this in the run-through, so I'm going to do it again. All right, anytime you make a trade and you win a Super Bowl, you win a championship, you win NBA Finals, whatever it is, trade's a success. I don't care. There's people out there that are like, Brandon Ingram, he's really good. He's going to develop into a star. Lonzo Ball, when he comes back from his 8th knee injury, poor guy, by the way.
Yeah.
That's going to be like, oh, Lakers lost that trade. But they got a championship. So it's like, I don't care what happens the next couple years. I know we have some issues to work out, but like that already won. Like we're good. Got the 17th championship.
Also got to the Western Conference Finals last year despite...
Yes. I'm sure we're going to talk about last year, but specifically 2020, that trade that went down, it's a win right now.
It is a win.
The Lakers won the championship in what, year number 2 or year number 1? I forget.
Year 2 of LeBron.
Right, year 2 of LeBron, year 1 of Anthony Davis.
Yes.
So it's like, that's a win. You make that trade, first year, I get bubble year. Don't start with that. Championship.
No, that's not even a factor because we've been over this before.
People ask
I understand, but we've been over this before. The 4 teams that were in the Western Conference,
same as this
the
year.
conference finals in 2020 were the same ones that were there this year.
Crazy.
Do you think Anthony Davis will take over LeBron like the way people thought it was going to happen because of after the trade?
You want to say your answer on 3? 1, 2, 3.
No.
I knew
Let's go.
it.
I don't think Anthony Davis is going to fill the shoes of LeBron just because he does play another position. He could be the first option for the Lakers. You could also debate that he was the first option last year.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get more into him later, but Austin Reeves, I think, has the best chance of just becoming the poster child for the Lakers. He's really that guy. He's got so much upside, so much potential, and it showed. He showed flashes of it in the playoffs, in the Western Conference Finals, in FIBA. He's been fantastic for the Lakers, and I think we could look forward to an AR-AD.
Bryant, great guard.
Yeah. As long as he's not the next Bob Cousy.
Dude, I can't believe Anthony Davis's contract. He just got an extension.
How much is it?
I'm not
Bro's
sure,
making $62 million a year.
How much do we make doing this, by the way?
$0.
$0.
How many minutes you getting?
But yeah, no, he's like tied to the NBA now till 2028. But I mean, he's the highest paid NBA player right now.
Oh no, what are we gonna do? He's on the Lakers for
outside of Jaylen Brown, but
yeah. How old is Anthony Davis right now? Is he 30, 32?
He was drafted 2012 out of
11
Kentucky,
years, so he's probably like 20, 32, 31.
Something like that,
I'm gonna go somewhere around that age.
We don't do
we'll say
math.
32.
We're
He's
journalism
starting to get
majors.
old up there, which means if he's locked in until 2028, right? That's what you said? That's 5 years. He's going to be 36-ish by the time that's over. I mean,
how old is LeBron right now?
Like 1,000.
that don't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy is
LeThanos.
Bro's G-Paw.
LeThanos.
Speaking of LeBron, I want to talk about him specifically because he is the guy. He is him, to be so clear. He's been on the Lakers since when? 2018?
2019.
2019. He's still there now. He plays a big part on the team. He is the name that people recognize when you talk NBA. Give me an NBA player, 85% LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Stephen Curry.
That, well, that's a different segment. But okay. So tell me about him. Let's talk LeBron. He's a big guy. He's a cool guy. He does a lot in basketball world and also outside of basketball world. He has philanthropy stuff. We're going to touch on it a little bit, not too much.
And he's an actor.
Don't
forget,
he's an actor.
He is an actor.
Great movies. House Party.
He is him.
House Party. No, they wanted him to play or like to be an actor for Space Jam 2, so they had it so accurate that they made him play 18 years in the NBA to get the character as perfect as possible.
He's actually.
Is that why?
Basketball playing is a bit. He's an actor.
Really. At this point, might as well be.
Do it. Yeah, he's definitely done a lot in his career. I mean, if we're going to focus on basketball or outside of the NBA things, I don't know if you can name outside of a guy from the 90s who you guys might know, Michael Jordan, and 80s. I don't know if anybody's made a bigger impact on the sport than LeBron James. So, yeah.
No, I would agree.
He definitely also mobilized the game because I just saw this like a couple years ago that Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they were kind of the guys who like brought life to the NBA.
Yep.
Jordan made it global, but then LeBron made it mobile bars. And like now, in the digital age and everything, he's giving you highlights, he's giving you accomplishments, achievements, everything you could ever want as a fan. And he also hasn't had much like backlash, like just controversy really. Outside of what, like Yabba Dabba 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 Do
Old Navy.
Like,
don't forget Malcolm X's book that he's reading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's
not.
He's definitely like even like politics. He's out there, putting his thoughts out there, which I think is good for the NBA. Having some guys like that can go out there and like do that without having to face backlash. So that's good. Also, love listening to you talk, by the way. Just like watching you do that. Sorry.
I think like a theme because we touch on a lot of players here, but I think a theme of like the names that we mentioned is that they are so impactful both in the sport but also outside of it, right? Because you could just be a player and you play good, you play bad, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But once you step outside of once you step off the court and you're making a difference in like the real world, then people start to notice you. And I think that's why he ended up like being such a big name, is because he took it off the court. So I kind of want to funnel into last year.
Last year
was a great year.
The Lakers,
fantastic year.
Ever since their bubble championship, they've been making some mistakes. I have to say it.
Every time you say bubble championship, a little light in Camden eyes just dies and it kills me.
Sigh a little bit.
Why? It's the facts. It's the facts.
Calling it the bubble championship. It's crazy.
Oh, I see
just
what you mean.
Sorry.
I feel like the bubble year, that's history. That's history.
Like it didn't count, even though Damian Lillard, T.J. Warren, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Jason Tatum, who else? Not Kyrie or Steph. Like everyone just decided to become Jordan, but it doesn't count.
Well, okay. Well, after they got rid of Westbrook and traded for D'Angelo Russell, Russell's been okay, but I really think Austin Reeves is going to be the breakout star.
I do as well. Do you want to touch on him? Sorry, did.
Yeah, Austin Reeves.
On him.
Pretty good. I mean, his story all throughout high school and college, going to, I believe it was Oklahoma and Wichita State. And he was undrafted, yes, correct?
I think you're right,
I believe he's undrafted, yeah. So to see a guy like that, I mean, like kind of like the Fred VanVleet role, who can have like a really big impact on a team. It's really cool to see like those undrafted guys, because there's not a lot of guys in the NBA each draft that are like impactful. You go look through the draft, there's probably 6 or 7 guys from each draft that are impactful. And this guy was undrafted. He comes out and he makes a splash in what, year 3? Year 2?
I think it was year 2, yeah.
Year 2?
Like year 2, he like made a name for himself, and I'm pretty sure this was his year 3. Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the beginning of last season, it was like 0.3% chance of making it to the playoffs.
I'll run that by you real quick.
Yeah.
So,
throw it down.
In the first 12 games of the season last year, Lakers started 2-10, which was I'm sure at least like bottom 3. Embarrassing. Bottom 3 in the NBA. And then when trade deadline, all that happened, we got a new team, new morale, new system, whatever. At the end of the Minnesota Timberwolves game to secure the 7th seed in the play-in. I don't know if you guys remember like having watched it. It was ridiculous. Yeah, like we were on FaceTime. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Did we all watch it together?
I don't remember.
I
but
I was
like,
on FaceTime.
Yeah, it was definitely on FaceTime. But regardless, Coach Ham put on a whiteboard like 0.3%, referring to the start of the season with the 2-10 record. That was our percent chance of making the playoffs. Not even the Western Conference Finals. Not round 2. Not any just the playoffs. And there they were.
Right. I mean,
and then the social media team ran with that number. They said, playoffs, check this, 0.3%.
Shove it down your throat. That's all you get to hear. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about Russell Westbrook. Is that where that was going? Talking about how bad of a acquisition. Yeah. So what I will say is I don't want to throw hate at Russ because he is a good player. I just think it didn't work. Like the fit didn't work. Russ isn't washed. He played fine for the Clippers in the playoffs. Like he had good games when the other stars were hurt. So Russ, fine. just didn't work on the Lakers. That's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
No, and you can see in years past when he's the first option on a team, even though he was with prime Paul George, prime Bradley Beal, but they're not as ball dominant as, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kawhi, Paul George, debatably. When he's the first option, that's when he shines. When he was the first option in the Clippers, in the playoffs when Kawhi and PG were hurt, he dropped 27 and 7 probably, something like that.
Phil would check this, but
Yeah,
I'm
Phil
pretty
can
sure he
fact
had
check.
30 in a couple of the games.
I think he did
definitely
get
dropped
close
30
to
in
30
a
at
game.
least, but he shined. He just wasn't efficient at all on the Lakers. There was a 3-19 game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he
shooting
definitely
percentage.
had his rough stretches, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's had some okay games too.
Yeah, he was good off the bench for the Lakers, though. I will
Yes.
say that.
When
for
he
the
was
first
the guy.
couple of games.
Okay.
No.
Do you guys feel better? You got it out of your system?
There's still so much to talk about.
Okay, well, tell everybody really quick, why should they be a Lakers fan?
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
That is what the lower third says. It's ... LeBron
Why? Because why
James.
not? Like, I mean, I get it. People are gonna think of you as a bandwagon, but like,
But
you
be a
get
bandwagon.
You also get
It's a
cool
bandwagon
shoes.
for a good team.
you get to root for LeBron James. I mean, when he's gone, you'll appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Camden. Thank you, Andrew. I had so much fun. I'm sure Lexi had fun.
Oh, yeah.
We will be right back. Don't go anywhere because we're going to talk about some women playing tackle football.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Dominic Mullen. Welcome to Hitting the Field Network. Our first show that you're going to see on YouTube is Hitting the Field Main Show, hosted by yours truly on Mondays at noon, where you'll see me with a fresh fade and fresh news. I'll also be talking a little bit of the hottest topics in sports, and we are going to be arguing mainly on there. On Tuesdays at noon, you'll see Isaiah Deanda Delgado and Ty Patton on the Combine, just more of a podcast, laid-back style of a show. And if you're looking for the most creative segment ideas, head on over there on Tuesday. On our off day, don't forget to check out the studio vlogs on Wednesdays. Andrew Montana does a great job of giving a little bit of the behind-the-scenes look into Hitting the Field. Moving to Thursdays, speaking of Andrew Montana, him, Philip Powell, and Ezra Hines lead the way on HTF Bets. The Bets boys always come dressed to impress, and if you're looking to win some money and catch up on the latest betting lines, that's the show for you. On Fridays, you're gonna head over and see Maddie Glass and the always wrong Tyler Brownrigg on Nighttime to break down everything about college sports. If you go to UCF or are interested in UCF sports, this is the best place for you. Sorry, Tyler. Our newest show here at Hitting the Field on Saturdays is Girl Talk, hosted by Kiersten Blaylock and Lexi Zolo. The all-female hosted show tackles breaking news all across the sports world, and as well, reliving the history and current state of your favorite team. Check that show out Saturdays at noon. Again, I am your main show host, Dominic Moeller, and if you're enjoying this content, don't be afraid to subscribe to our Hitting the Field YouTube and check out our Instagram. But for now, that's all. I'll see you on main show. Take care.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name, once again, is Lexi Zolo, in case you forgot, and I cannot wait to get into this segment because I did not know much about the Legends Football League until now. It was originally called the Lingerie Football League, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was put on a hold, and now it still hasn't made a return. And I know Kiersten and I both have a lot to say about this league. I mean, it was founded back in 2009 by Mitchell Mortaza, and I don't think he's really known for a lot. I mean, I know he's like a sports blogger, but I think that's like what he was mainly got known for.
Yeah.
And they originally were like, oh yeah, let's make this a thing because it'll be a great like halftime show. Like it was just like gonna be like,
It was like a
for
bit.
fun.
It was
Yeah.
like, it was a joke.
It was a joke, and then it ended up becoming really popular. So then they formed into a whole league. There was like 10 teams in the league. It went during like fall and winter time, and it was a lot of well-known, like famous athletes too. I guess apparently like a lot of people actually were like really wanting to be on this team, but we had like people like Brittany Griner and stuff like that. And actually, what I thought was cool is that the average age was like 30 to like 40 years old.
Yeah.
It was like older ladies, but I mean not old,
Older
but
ladies.
older,
Lexi.
like not like
Lexi.
young, not like 20-year-olds. But I thought that was really interesting. But the one thing that I really wasn't a fan about it was so sexualized. Like these women were wearing like bra and underwear out there basically playing tackle football. And a lot of men were betting on this and were huge fans of it because of that. And I feel like women being able to play tackle football was a really big thing, and it ended up just being really sexualized and like not even like being seen as like, oh my God, women are playing
Yeah.
tackle football. It's like, yeah, they're wearing, you know what? Like,
Yeah, I get to just check them out the whole game, which is gross, by the way.
Yes.
In case you didn't hear me the first time, that's gross. Stop staring at women's bodies for your own personal enjoyment. That's not what it's there for. Real quick, I want to shout out Emily Otrobsky, who texted me about this a few weeks ago and was like, hey, like, I was curious about, like, women's tackle football, if it ever existed. And then she sent it to me, and I watched it, and I was like, this is so sick. And, you know, you talked a little bit about, like, they took it kind of from this, like, essentially just, like, a bit. It was just, like, a joke. Yeah. And they made it, like, this real thing because they loved it. That's, like, a consistent theme that I see in women's sports, that, like, if they want to do something, they will. And it's so great. I also think that keeping as sexualized as it was, them kind of keeping their, like, uniform kind of takes the power out of, like, the guy who created the whole, like, sketch. Yeah. And it kind of made it their own thing, where it's like, okay, like, we're choosing, like, we're playing tackle football, we're choosing to dress like this.
Yeah, like, it's entirely up to them to play. They don't, like, no one is making them do this or wear this. But I know in 2013, when it became the Legends Football League, they actually did have their uniforms they changed a little to be a little more modest. It was more like, resembled like a beach volleyball uniform, which I wouldn't mind, like, wearing that. Like, that's a normal thing to wear. They took away, like, all the lacy, like, the gardeners and all that. Like, they were like, okay, we're done with that. Because personally, I would not play tackle football in that, because, like.
Well, okay, personally, I wouldn't play tackle football, period. But. Like, when they play, it's like their uniform, and then it's just like shoulder pads, and like that's it. Like, nothing else. Knees, elbows, none. Well, I guess NFL don't play with like knees or elbows, but it's just like not enough coverage for me. If I go down and I break a bone, that's it. I'm out.
I know their helmets are like ice hockey players, because they have like the whole shield thing and everything. So I think their helmets have a little more protection.
I do like, though, they play indoors. They play indoors, and it's honestly like
cool.
A little bit of a smaller field, which is cool, I think, because it's like, I don't know.
I feel like a whole football field is kind of a lot anyways for some women. I know I couldn't do that, but
so yeah. The league ended in 2019-ish because of COVID. I mean, that a lot of things ended in 2019 because of COVID. But do you think they've kind of rebranded a little bit? Yeah. But do you think that did you think before, like, going into it, that they would ever bring it back after COVID?
I'm not going to lie. I really thought they would have brought it back because of how popular it seemed to be. But then, because, like, it's not like women were being told, like, you have to do this. Like, they chose to. And there were a lot of people who had to get cut from the teams because they wanted to be a part of this. And it was super popular. And I think with the rebrand of it being, like, the Legends Football League, when it was, like, the more modest uniform, I think that was just a better look. Yeah. Do you think it would have been brought back after COVID?
I mean, okay, so I always want to say, like, yes, because I just love seeing women's sports playing, but I really like what they ended up doing. So I think it was 2019. I could be wrong on this.
I think it was.
No, not 20. Sorry. Oh. In 2021, I think. 2019 is when LFL ended. Yes. They created the X League, which is essentially LFL but under a new name, because realistically, no matter what you change the first L to, people are always going to be like, oh, that's the Lingerie Football League. And it's like, okay, once you start to get more, like, professional, more serious about it, you want to kind of take a step away from, like, the overly sexualized type of it all. So they rebranded to the X League, and they kind of just merged all of the teams into, like, they gave it just, like, a new name. So two teams that I highlighted were the Atlanta Steam in the LFL. They became the Atlanta Empire. And then the other team was the Satellite Mist. They became the Satellite Thunder. And then they gave them even, like, I want to say more modest uniforms, because now there's, like, instead of it being like a sports bra, it's like a little bit longer.
Yeah, like a crop top almost.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just like they saw the interest in, like, women wanting to play tackle football, and they said, okay, we're going to work around it. We're going to make this work. And they kind of gave them, like, a more professional side of things. Yeah. Now, this year, they're not doing anything. Last year in 2022, the Chicago Blitz won their, like, championship. It kind of works similarly to how, like, I want to say, like, an intramural team would work, where it's like you go all the way, you have a few, like, games, and then two teams play off, one team wins. Yeah. So last year it was the Chicago Blitz. this year, they're not doing anything, but they're about to release the schedule in October for next year, which is exciting.
That's exciting.
Because once we get the schedule, it means we could talk about it again.
I know.
I'm
Yay!
So but I really like that they're starting to take it more serious. I like that it's a thing where now we can watch women play football and be like, okay, this isn't flag football, it's tackle. They're doing all the mean nitty-gritty things that they do in the NFL, just not as big of a field because nobody wants to play on that big field anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I really like how I never knew women could play tackle football until I heard about this, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, we have to talk about this. It's super impressive. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this segment, and Kiersten will be coming back to you guys with the top 5 moments in sports, so stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Ty Patton, and I am a licensed sports therapist, and today I'm here to help 3 people cope with their misfortunate teams. Maddie, when was the last time the Bears won anything?
I don't think I've ever experienced that feeling.
Maddie, the MVP is not a real award.
But it was voted on.
By kids, Maddie.
Yeah, it was a real award, and I think that's one thing that we can, we made history with that moment. We don't have to talk about Trubisky or the draft because I really don't like to think about that. It really just makes me, I'm sorry.
Now, Maddie, is Mitch Trubisky still with the team?
No. I'm not sure he's in the NFL.
You know,
I know Mahomes is, and he was drafted ahead of him. Actually, Mitch Trubisky, it was a bad one. And now we have Justin Fields, who I had belief in. And the worst thing about sports, it's the hope it gives you.
Maddie, at times like this, sometimes we as fans like to hold on to what was.
Yeah,
but
my dad still talks about the 85 Bears like it was yesterday. I texted him yesterday, I was like, how about this Bears game? And he was just like, this is so sad. I watched with my neighbor's lifelong Bears fan. I watched with them. It was just, you can't describe the feelings that were showcased in that living room.
Welcome to segment 3. If you're a fan of Girl Talk, then you already know the drill. But if you're new here, I'm going to go over the 5 things that happened in sports this past week and tell you what you need to know. Starting with some exciting news for number 1. The U.S. Soccer Federation is planning to build a new training facility for its teams this coming year. Philanthropist Arthur M. Blank contributed $50 million to support the building of the facility. It's the first of its kind in the Atlanta area. Now, I know you think that this might not be important, but it has potential to be game-changing for U.S. soccer. Having a central hub in Atlanta for its players, coaches, and referees could help create more balance in the community. This will offer the players the best environment for training, development, recovery, and performance analysis. Cindy Parlow-Cohn is the president of U.S. Soccer, and she believes that the facility will accelerate the growth of soccer in the U.S., and it will represent a commitment to developing elite players. But a big part of the funding goes to supporting the extended national teams, and the funding is focused more so on supporting the cerebral palsy, deaf, and power national teams. The locker rooms and the training areas will be designed in a way that it maximizes accessibility for its players. With soccer on the rise in the U.S., specifically women's soccer, I want to make a note that Boston recently got the rights to expand their club and will be adding a 15th team to the National Women's Soccer League in 2026. Now, we'll talk more about it when we get the details, but it's so refreshing to see women's soccer growing. As we transition, you should know that we're starting to get in the full swing of the NFL. And wouldn't you know it, records are already being broken. With Cooper Kupp out due to a hamstring injury, Puka Nacua got to step in for the LA Rams playing wide receiver in the first few games. And oh boy, is he writing his own check. Puka Nacua has set the record for most single-game catches by a rookie. Now, it's safe to say that he stepped into Kupp's spot with excellence. Last week during their game against the 49ers, Nacua made 15 receptions in a single game. He broke the record pretty late in the fourth quarter, though. Now, even though the Rams didn't win that game, the victory for Nacua tops it all. And in the game before that, against Seattle, he made 10 receptions. And if this trend continues, he'll make 20. Then 25, and then 30. And then Puka Nacua will be the only wide receiver in the NFL. Setting records is nothing new for Nacua. He's also the first player in NFL history to get double-digit receptions and 100 receiving yards in each of his first 2 career games. He has his 25 receptions is also an overall league mark for a rookie in each of his first 2 career games. The previous mark was 19 receptions by San Francisco's Earl Cooper in 1980. His teammates have shown nothing but support for the wide receiver, and Matt Stafford, the quarterback for the Rams, has outright mentioned how impressive Nacua has been. Puka Nacua seems to be just an overall loved player who puts his heart and soul into his playing time, and it shows. Now, if you're a Hitting the Field fan, then you probably know we have a sports betting show here, where our sports reporters give you the bets they would take if they were betting men. And this next piece of news might just convert them. Sports gambling has been illegal-ish for the past few years in Florida, but there's potential that it might make a return here in the Sunshine State. Let's track it back to 2018 when the Supreme Court overturned their ban on sports betting, and ever since then, more and more states have legalized betting. Now, currently, the control of all sports betting in Florida belongs to the Seminole tribe, who made a deal in 2021 with Ron DeSantis. Since then, the tribe has kind of pulled back, but there's a chance that they will relaunch the Hard Rock Sportsbook. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, a sportsbook is what offers the spread of bets that allows you to predict the outcomes of the games and set a point spread. The team that you place a bet on must win by a certain number of points or score a minimum number of points. But to put it plainly, it's how you make a bet. Now, everything right now is up in the air as the Seminole tribe is facing some legal trouble with the Supreme Court, and their decision could change, but things are starting to look like they're going underway. Now, some experts say with the relaunch of the Hard Rock Sportsbook, the NFL alone can make upwards of $1 billion. $1 billion. This might be happening soon, but don't place your bets yet. Now, if you aren't super familiar with college football, you might be able to name a few teams outside of the school you attend. Big names: Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, things like that. Well, there's some news with those big 3 teams in the realm of the Associated Press ranking. Alabama University is known for their dominance in football, but for the first time in 8 years, they might be on the decline. The AP ranks the top 25 college football teams, and in years past, Alabama has never dipped out of their top 10, but their performance this season has been less than impressive. After their loss to Texas and their unconvincing win against South Florida, the AP has started to take notice, and it's costing them their usual spot on the list. Now, they sit at 13, which isn't bad, but they sit under some of their rivals, LSU being right above them, so really this is just a reality check for Bama. The poll realistically means nothing, but many college football nerds, including ones here, pay close attention and base a lot on this ranking. So, Camden says, what are we doing? And Tyler thinks that the ranked team should suffer more for losses to unranked teams, and that the SEC bias is so real. College football has a lot of drama, and it's crazy. To wrap things up, another record is being broken in the world of women's sports, and it's a beautiful thing. The WNBA has reported that they've hit a viewership high. A few weeks ago, we covered Nebraska women's volleyball team breaking a record in national attendance, and now we're talking about the WNBA. CBS reported that it had the most ever watched NBA season, averaging as 592,000 people for 4 games, which is up 25% from last season. I personally just love seeing this growth of women's sports. I think it's crazy. I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for women's sports. But unfortunately, that is all the time I have for you today. On behalf of myself, on behalf of everybody here, and on behalf of Hitting the Field, come back next Saturday. I'm so excited to see you. We're going to have more Girl Talk. Bye.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings on my